live. Let me fix the camera a little bit. There you go. How are you? I'm just going to jump right into some questions that you guys already asked me on what you call that thing, social media. But my name is Leilani. This is my channel, Living with Eve. I'm here to answer some homeschool questions, some Q&A type things. I am a former teacher, public and private school teacher. I taught, see, I can't talk apparently. I taught everything from elementary school to music and drama, as well as Title I, which is kind of like the one-on-one tutoring or small group tutoring for kids with learning disabilities and kids that need some special attention with math and as well as language arts. So after that, I started homeschooling my own kids and I resigned, and I also started in the whole homeschool evaluation, quote unquote, business. And that is for the state of Florida, because one of the requirements to homeschool in the state of Florida is that you have to have an evaluator check your portfolio at the end of the year. It's not that intimidating. It's not that scary, because most of the evaluators themselves are former public and private school teachers, and we're right there alongside you. We know the laws. We know how lenient the laws are. A lot of people come down to Florida and they start stressing out because it sounds so scary and intimidating, which all it is the person evaluating you is a peer, so to speak, someone else that is just on the same journey as you are. And just because we have that teaching certificate, hello, and just because we have that background in teaching doesn't really mean anything in the long run or even in the short run. And so that's about me. But I'm gonna, hi everybody. Oh my gosh, I've got 5 people on here already. So, you know, a lot of you guys are already homeschoolers yourself, seasoned homeschoolers. So if there's anybody that jumps on here that you think ask a really good question, you want to chime in and answer their question, or even as I read them, feel free to add some input, because the more input we get, the better it is. I apologize for my trash can. This is bothering me. I'm sorry, I have to move it. Let's just be real. All right, so I'm going to start. I'm not going to say the name of this one because this was more of a private message. And so I don't know how much this person wants me to say her name. So she wrote me and said, I love watching your videos. Naomi is doing amazing. I love the writing sounds you use when you write her name. I believe, and so this is pre-writing for kindergarten, homeschooling, pre-writing with kindergarten. And preschool. So there are special phrases that I use, and she wanted me to kind of list them out, and I'll do this super quick. Handwriting Without Tears, Learning Without Tears is a program that teaches handwriting for preschoolers. It's very good to use with kids that are on the spectrum. It's good to use with kids with Down syndrome, learning disabilities, because it's very, very just solid. It's simple, solid, cut and dry, straight to the point. And the thing with Learning Without Tears is they have shapes, so they have lines and curves. So whenever, and you always start your letters at the top. So when you go straight down, you say down. If for whatever reason you need to come up, you say up. If you want to go vertical, you say slide, like you're going down a slide. And if you want to go straight across, you say zip. The curve is just a curve. Now, I think Learning Without Tears may have modified it a little bit. So there's big curve and little curve and line, big line and little line. But I do like the zip because it feels like a zip. It works like a zipper sometimes. And that's what we use when we're spelling out her letters. And all letters are made up of the same things: big line, little line, big curve, small curve. Keep it super simple. Yeah, Writing Without Tears, Learning Without Tears is amazing. And we're almost done with their preschool curriculum. And honestly, with Naomi, I'm going to start her on kindergarten curriculum with Learning Without Tears, because it is, I just need a lot of repetition with her. And I think going to the next level where you're just not writing the letter 3 times or 4 times would be good for her. And we'll probably repeat that kindergarten a couple times. I don't know. She's blowing me out of the water. So there's just a lot that is happening that I'm not expecting with her, just with her cognitive skills. She's smart as a whip. Yep. And yeah, that's right. Ashley, you taught kindergarten in the public, you did public school, right? Handwriting or private school would probably do. I don't know. You can answer that. But yeah, so that's the answer to that first question. And I'm moving on. And if you do have questions, because I know there's 8 people, there was at one point 10 people in here. And whenever you hit that like button, I know that it will push it out to some of my other viewers and make a, you know, a notification or throw it up on their YouTube feed as like a live. I don't know what that's called. I should know what it's called, right? The feed. Anyway, so hit that like button. Yay, I'm getting some likes. So they can see this and they can jump on and ask questions if they have them. Because I know the last live I did, I just got crazy with questions. Yes, Ashley Public School. Okay, so this one is from Emily. And I am going to need your help, Ashley, to answer this one. What is your recommendation curriculum for younger kids with ODD and ADHD? And she specifies kindergarten, 2nd grade, and early education. And I think I named a really good one, Handwriting Without Tears. We used, I know Matthew C is very hands-on. And I think that is very good for those kids with ADD because it's engaging. Not everybody is a fan of Matthew C. It takes a certain person to like it, but the people that do like it, they love it. So that one you can definitely check out. There is Learning Language Arts Through Literature, which is another great curriculum. And that one I actually recommend for any learning disabilities, That's one I think I'm probably going to delve into with Naomi a little bit because it's very gentle and it's just a really good curriculum. So there's that. Matthew C. I mentioned, Handwriting Without Tears. Anything that has a lot of hands-on. We used Right Start Math. That curriculum really works, laying down very good foundations. It's a lot of work for the parent, but it does its job to get those foundation laid. So that's always a plus with that one. Do you guys have any recommendations for ODD, ADD? ODD is opposition defiance disorder, when they defiance on purpose. And then obviously ADHD, ADD. If you have any recommendations, just throw them in the chat or in the comments if you're watching the replay. And I think that's the ones. There is one math program called Making Math Meaningful. And I know there are some kids that have ADHD that are absolutely brilliant and they catch on really fast. So they don't need as much work to really grasp a concept. That one, Make Math Meaningful, it's simple and it's quick and it's hands-on, and the materials that you use were just household tools. I did use those for my 2 boys. I tried it with my daughter. It did not work well with her. So that's why we actually, for her, I switched over to Right Start Math. And I know I mentioned in my life before, I do talk a lot about, Happiest Homeschooling says hi. I did say that with one of my kids, other than Naomi, we do have ADHD, but that child does not like me mentioning it on YouTube. So it's kind of a 1 out of 3 thing. So we'll just kind of leave it at that point. So like I said, we did use Making Math Meaningful and Right Start Math for my daughter. Making Math Meaningful did not work well with her. She needed more foundation laid. And that, wasn't due to anything other than she just needed more. So I can't think of any other math curriculum. I know, Ashley, you would say Gather Round is great, which is, I love Gathered Round. Definitely. I learn a lot from Ashley. She's Home Sweet Homeschool, if you have not seen her channel, and she talks a lot about Gather Round, which is, she'll give you flip throughs and such. But I'm going to move on to the next question. Like I said, you have questions, throw them in here. Okay. I think this person, I'm going to read this. I think there was a misspelled word, so hopefully paintbrushes to write for those. You know what? Somebody said that to me, actually, because I did a video last week and we were using crayons. and I made some kind of comment. I don't know what comment I made, but they said the paintbrushes when you're writing your letters it's just easier for them to, because it's a smoother motion. So I thought that was interesting. I've never tried that. I think I'm going to try that. I think though with Naomi and pre-writing, she's all over she's just loosey-goosey, so she doesn't like hold things. She doesn't hold things. You put it in her hand and it kind of slips out because of the low tone. So with her, I'm having use a lot of like, I always have to warm up her fingers before we do any pre-writing, whether I'm doing Legos with her or Play-Doh activities with her. And then we'll do pre-writing with her fingers warmed up. But I try not to overwork her fingers too. She's left-handed, so she'll start with her left hand, and then she'll try to switch to her right hand when she realizes that she just keep going and doesn't want to. But I want to try the paintbrush thing because I have heard that's another technique. I've also heard doing it on sandpaper, like putting sandpaper down and then regular paper down, because with sensory processing, you have either they're pushing too hard or too soft. And so missed you too, either too hard or too soft. And you know, that is one of those other techniques. I think, I'm trying to remember what else she told me. I don't remember. If I think of it, I'll probably come back and throw it in the comments. Heart too. I know I'm checking the comments. I know if you're watching the playback, you can't see the comments, but she just sent up some hearts. So, so there's that. All right. So the next person says, what is your recommended curriculum for children? And I think they're saying significant cognitive delays. So they put signient. It's like one letter off from significant. So I think they're trying to say significant, because I tried Googling signient. I couldn't find anything. So I'm just going to go with significant. I had to go with significant cognitive delays. I have a 5th and 6th grader that are at a reading level, kindergarten, and beginning math with using manipulatives. So reading level, kindergarten, and beginning math with using manipulatives. So, and that's where Right Start comes to mind, and Math You See also comes to mind. I wrote this one I had time to do like some thinking. So all about reading, all about spelling is really, really good with it's using the Gillingham, which is for dyslexia method, and it's very slow paced, using some of that method in there. And it is very hands-on because there's tiles that you move around. There's also, I said, learning language arts through literature, handwriting, learning without tears. I put teaching textbooks for the older kids because that one's computer based. And I think sometimes I'm going to miss watching all the videos I missed. Thank you. Sorry, all about reading, learning language arts through literature, handwriting without tears, teaching textbooks. So I was saying teaching textbooks. I think it's good for older kids because it is computer based. I know a lot of kids nowadays seem to gravitate towards the computer based. So I wrote that on there. I also put time for learning, which I didn't mention previously. Time for Learning actually prides themselves on writing curriculum for kids with exceptional abilities, you know, on the spectrum, Down syndrome, all learning disabilities, dyslexia, dysgraphia. They pride themselves, and they actually have a section. If you go on their website, there's a section, a category where you can read like tips on how to coach them through Time for Learning. It's a web-based, thank you. It's a web-based approach with Time for Learning, and it's just good. It's just good. I also put My Father's World because I think, I don't know, I just like My Father's World. That's why I put it on there. I'll just be honest. And I think that's all I wrote down. if you guys have any suggestions for curriculum for kids that have some significant cognitive delays, I think anything with fine motor skills to strengthen that, any motor skills to strengthen that. I'm hoping to go to the homeschool conference this year to get some more ideas. And yeah, especially for Naomi. And I think, let's see, I feel like I have one more question. Oh no, I have two. I have two more questions. Yes. All right. So the two questions that I have, no, I read this one already. There was one, this one, here it is. How do you handle when your kids don't want to do a lesson? So just really quick, if I'm reading the chats really quick, Allie is on there and she's sharing some things she missed listening to seeing Naomi because she had some exams. And so I was saying, I missed you too, if you didn't know what I was doing, because I did mention that earlier. So it's really nice to see those of you guys that follow along with Naomi, seeing you guys come back and say hi. So it's really nice. And yes, thank you guys for listening. Like I said, I don't do YouTube. It's not a money thing. It's not because I don't make money. I do this because I want to see other parents thrive with home and have the confidence to homeschool their kids. That's why I do it, because I know what it's like to be, even though I was a former teacher, I know what it's like to feel like you're at the bottom of the barrel and you're so overwhelmed and you don't know what you're doing, and you've got a person relying on you for their education, and it's really all in your hands and you just feel lost sometimes. So I hope that I can help guide a couple of people. I mean, I look at it this way, these are my children's peers. These are the people that are going to help take care of my generation when we're old. And so I want to help you as a parent help them succeed and have confidence. So that's why I do it. Like I said, it's definitely not for money. Things would be a lot different if it was. But anyway, let me answer. I have two more questions, and any questions. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Christine saying that I've really helped with her picking out curriculum or my curriculum reviews. So, okay, if you have questions, let me know. But this one, I'm going to read this one really quick. How do you handle when your kids don't want to do a lesson? I have a 7-year-old girl, it's first grade. She struggles with wanting to write numbers or letters. I know she can because eventually she does the work without issue. She prefers to trace words versus write them. On some assignments that aren't handwriting, I take turns with her. She writes a word, then she spells a word, and I write a word. This seems to help, but I long for her to become more independent. Sometimes she gets mad and cries. I try to take breaks and tell her, let's work hard for just 5 minutes. Okay, like everything she said is really good advice. Like it almost sounds like she's talking to herself, because doing that, like write a sentence and then they write a sentence and they write a sentence and like that flip-flopping is great. Doing words, tracing. You're going at their pace. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of patience and trust that you're doing the right thing, and creativity. That's the other word I was looking for. It takes a lot of creativity to jump in there and come up with unique ideas to help them with their writing. With writing, building letters helps. I know you said first grade, so even at that point, building letters really, really helps. I'm trying to think of what I have a manipulative downstairs. I'm going to put it in the comments. There is, I got it from Katie in Life in the Mundane. It's like this snap thing, and you can make letters with it. If a first grader likes to do Play-Doh, they can roll Play-Doh out and create letters and numbers. Just to help with making it, one, a little bit more fun, and two, just hands-on stuff. Computer-based stuff can also, well, no, with writing, computer is not gonna, well, I'm sure there's some people that claim it does, but you need to actually get in there and start building those finger muscles and doing the writing. I mean, as many times as people don't like to reward their kids, like rewarding your kids if they do a good job, even if it's just with praises. So they're working towards something, or you could get really creative with different, I don't know, different prizes and rewards. So that's something that you can work. I love the writing, taking turns. I love the tracing, and just keep doing it. Trace letters in play sand. That's another really good one too. In the air too, that reminded me. In the air. Did you say what you use? But you said that she also, you know that she does it because eventually she does the work without issues. So I mean, honestly, it's just a matter, she might just be a little bit slower when it comes to just full writing, but it'll come eventually and just stay at her level and pushing her a little bit more. I think this also ties into the topic of reluctant learners. There is, and this is like a shout out, whoop, okay. So Ashley from Joyful Noise Learning, Joyful Noise Learning, she is doing a collaboration, and some of you guys that are on here might actually be a part of that collaboration. I, as of right now, am not doing that collaboration just because of time. They are doing, when it's up, I'll stick the playlist in the comments. I'm just gonna have a lot of comments in the playlist, or in the comment section after. I'll just come back and comment something. It's gonna be a full-blown, it's a bunch of reluctant, okay, let me rephrase that. It is going to be a playlist of homeschool moms sharing what they do with reluctant learners. And so Ashley Joyful Noise Learning is heading that up. It's going live on Wednesday morning. I did mention to her that if I did do the video, the first thing that came to mind was trying to figure out how you can make learning fun, and also showing your kids that learning is fun for you too. Also building on the idea of lifelong learners, making it fun. So that was my suggestion. But I know that parents that do have kids with ODD, now this, not this situation, but I'm going to read that comment in a section out loud. That's going to be a little bit more of a struggle because of the ODD, and you have to be really creative and go at their level and when they're ready. It's almost, that's just, that's a hard situation. You have to bribe at that point. But this, I don't think she has ODD. I think this is, she just struggles, and instead of wanting to push through it, she just quits. And so the idea is to, yes, give her a reward, but also find creative ways for her to enjoy that. Maybe there's, oh, okay, I'm throwing this out there. She could write the lyrics down of a song that she likes. I know if I told my kids to write down the lyrics of Encanto and that was their, oh yeah, that would motivate them. Yeah, that's going around in our house. That's all I hear. All the songs are like stuck in my head. Yeah, if anybody, just make me feel like I'm not alone there. Like that's just, yeah. Anyway, side note. So yeah, maybe something like that, like a comic book they like maybe, or a song, right? Whatever she wants to, as long as she is practicing her letters and spelling. That's another thing, like journaling. I know girls like to journal. Yeah, we don't talk about Bruno. No. That's what everybody says when you say, hey, have you seen Encanto? And they go, we don't talk about Bruno. So yeah, 3 times, that's it. No, I'm just, oh, that music's on in my house all day. Yeah, right now. And mommy's about to go buy some dolls. Anyway, so I'm about there. Because they're fun. Anyway, I like that musical. It hits home because it's the Hispanic culture. Anyway, I totally took some bunny trails. The last question, which is a loaded question, because I could and I am going to make a video on it. But she just says, basically, I am planning on homeschooling my 4th grade daughter next year. And what are some of your, what is some of your advice for homeschooling? How do I start? What do I look at first? What are some resources? Yeah, this actually is giving me a springboard to do. I want to do a series on some, because I don't have any beginning 101 how to homeschool type videos. And I mean, not that I'm, this season, but I have done it and been there. And I do evaluations, and I see hundreds of portfolios, and I've talked to hundreds of moms every year. I'm not exaggerating. That's just the truth, because that's what I do. And I work tutoring. I've done tutoring. Now, I've been homeschooling now 7, 8 years. Starting homeschool, I mean, there's the whole process of deschooling, but finding what my advice is to someone who is starting homeschooling. I always say, find a box curriculum that you like and start with that the first year. And while you're working through the first year, start researching. Start looking at the different styles of homeschool. Do you like the idea of Charlotte Mason? Is that going to fit with your family? Or is classical conversations or unschooling? Like, what is going to fit with your family? What do you like and dislike about this box curriculum that you picked out? What about co-ops? Have you thought about adding co-ops to your group? That's something you're going to add in right away, especially with the little field trips here and there. Co-ops, do you want the co-op to take on the majority of picking out your curriculum? The majority of the responsibility of picking out your curriculum is, all these, you have a whole year to process all these questions as you're walking through it. And you really don't have to pick anything out, honestly, until June or July or August if you want to, wait till last minute. Where to look? Watching YouTube videos. What is it, Kathy Duffy? That website? That was one of my go-tos. I just used to read review after review after review on homeschool stuff. I was also doing evaluations at that time. So I would do the evaluation and look at somebody's portfolio and write down the curriculum that I used, and then I'd check Kathy Duffy and I would look up all that. I didn't even think about using YouTube back then. Nope, I didn't even think about it. Go to homeschool conventions and research. Also pick the brains of other homeschool moms and ask them what they're using, especially homeschool moms that are very like-minded. So, for example, I know that I have a friend not like-minded at all. Okay, let me explain this whole situation. It's a little more complicated than that. I have, now I'm worried that if I talk about this, then that person is going to watch this video and go, now we know what Leilani really thinks about me. So anyway, I'll just leave it at like-minded people. Find someone who's like-minded and learn about the things that they do. And then, of course, YouTube is a great resource. And even now, I'm still researching and finding curriculum that I like and I may want to try, especially with Naomi. So, it's I'm playing around with it. I'm always learning. There's always another challenge because every child learns differently, and you kind of have to you have to go like this. So I'm gonna do a whole series, and I'm gonna break it up into like 3 videos that kind of build on itself. The beginning, like you're first walking into homeschool, what do you do? And then, the next step with the co-ops, or no, where do we go from here? Co-ops, and I don't even know how I'm going to break it down yet. I'm going to write the full script out. I'm probably going to get it up in the next couple weeks. That's one reason I'm not doing Ashley's collab on Reluctant Learners, is because I really want to put this thing together. I think it'll be a good resource out there for homeschoolers. And when I do videos, when I delve into those very heavily researched videos, I legit do hardcore research, and I will read websites, watch videos, but I delve into the academic type papers, and I try to find ways to make some of those academic and a higher level thoughts more kind of down to earth and simplified. That's kind of one of my goals. So this is going to be one of those things that I'm going to be doing. and trying to give you guys good, solid advice instead of me just telling you all my experiences. Some of the box curriculums that I'll just kind of throw out there that I share with some of my peeps or my fellow homeschoolers. I do always mention Abeka. I know that one is very, very intense, but it is a popular one that a lot of people feel very safe with. So I mentioned that one. I do give them a heads up that it is very intense. So keep that in mind. I mentioned Sunlight. I mentioned Bookshark. I mentioned My Father's World. I mentioned Horizon. I mentioned Christian Liberty Press. I mentioned Time for Learning. Okay, somebody's mentioning placement tests. I didn't get all of that. So those are like the box curriculums that usually I kind of go towards. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, because I know there was some definite, all right, how do I find them? There was some that I missed as you guys were, because I wanted to keep my brain like without going off on different tangents. All right, tracing letters in the sand. Oh, a slate board. Yes. Or a slant board. Well, slate board and a slant board. Oh, come back. Come back. Sorry, they all disappeared on me. A slate board or a slant board with pre-writing. So I'll go with both of them because there's something about doing that horizontal when you're writing horizontal that helps with hand-eye coordination, but with that vestibular, right? So have you heard about how important it is to have a child lay on their stomach and write? And then like the tummy time, it has to do with, I said it in one of my videos and I can't think of the word, but I know the vestibular system. I know like the crossing, like what is that called? Oh, come on, Valerie, what's the word? When you cross over, you know, I don't know that word, but it helps with a bunch of systems that you need with writing. The slate is really good because of the feeling the texture of the actual like chalkboard, and it doesn't go smooth. It's a rough feeling, so you have to put pressure down. So, or it helps you feel the pressure. So yes. All right, going back to the chats. Okay. Gotta go back some. I missed so many. I feel like I should go back to the beginning. Sorry, you're seeing my finger right in the camera. I know she writes in Arabic and I translate it with Google Translate, but I don't know Arabic. So I don't know what she says. So I'm gonna have to go back and translate it. She wrote some stuff in Arabic. Top chats, live chats. Okay. All right. Slate to help my sons. It's easier on the hands. Okay. The slate, I'm guessing that's slate. Okay, we use Monopoly money, $1 per activity class, and they can save them up and get some fun prices like bath bombs, ooh, bath paint, fun, books, candy. I lost it. I have to keep tapping it to keep it on. So using Monopoly money to buy different things, movie nights or an LOL doll. That's fun. I like that idea. I let my daughter write whenever, and so I got that with the write as long as she practiced her letter and spelling. Yeah, no, Jackie, don't be nervous, but I get the being lost thing because there's, I mean, it's a business. She says that she loves to watch these videos. I'm so lost as a newbie, but that's because it's a business. People are trying to sell their curriculum and they're always saying it's the best curriculum out there. And it's hard because you have to sift through it. And the only way to get down to the bottom of it is to find people that are like-minded and people that you trust their opinion. That's why I do not do a lot of affiliate stuff unless I already believe in their product. So like I do teaching textbooks, and that's because over the years I've seen there's a lot of criticism, unfortunately, but that's because kids find it easy and fun. And for some reason, people think easy and fun, you know, doesn't always equal effective. But I have seen test scores and kids jump with teaching textbooks. Same with IEW. I've seen miracles happen with IEW in my own sons, as well as just at the co-op, tutoring kids. So, you know, those are the two, those are really the only two that I work with. And there's one company I'm trying to convince them to let me work with them because I'm obsessed with them. I would love to work with Learning Without Tears. But I mean, I'll still chime the bells and whistles about how amazing they are, regardless if they decide to ever work with me or not. Okay. The other one is Apologia. I am an affiliate with them, but I haven't really pursued that relationship as much with them. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. But other than that, I won't do affiliates. It's not about money. We're always reevaluating our homeschool. That's so true. So am I. So like, even if you get a box set in your first year and then you don't like it and you realize you want to do something different, it's totally okay to chuck it or sell it, and then start with something new. If you're sure, you know, if you're ready to move on. It's always up to you. Like, everybody's different. We love Christian Light education for my 7-year-old. Christian Light is great. I love Christian Light too, actually. That's another one. But it really works for a certain type of kid. Crossing midline. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. I love Christian Light. That's another one. They're very similar to Horizon in style, but I really like them. Okay. Oh, whoops. As an evaluator, how do you see progress? I'm just a month into homeschooling and I'm constantly worried about if I'm doing enough. How do I see progress? I don't know. Let me think of examples. Well, I mean, for example, since we've been talking about handwriting, I'll look at their handwriting at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year, and then I compare it. Usually, and since the parent they can pick, you know, what sheets they're going to show me with their handwriting. Math, you can see the progression. So if they are in 3rd grade and they're using a curriculum and they consistently make high grades throughout the curriculum, you know they're progressing because the curriculum itself is going to move them up. If, you know, for unschooling, the fact that they're actually learning something new is progress. That's why the state of Florida is very relaxed. It seems scary, but it's not. If a kid doesn't know their alphabet at the beginning of the year, but then they learn it, that's progress. If, I don't know, you see what I'm saying? Like, just little things, milestones here and there. I sometimes, not all the time, but only if I feel like it's appropriate, I'll have a child read to me and I'll see if, you know, I don't know, I kind of get a sense, I know what a 2nd grading, like in my head, I know what a 2nd grade reading level is. Maybe even doing, standardized tests are very, very debatable. I have the PIAT, which is a nationally normed test, and I've given my kids those tests. And I've used it to see if they're on track, so it kind of gives me a peace of mind. But you can even go online and get Iowa Cat 5. Those are really good tests, and just administer them to your kids. I don't think you have to have a teaching degree to rent them. I think you just have to have a bachelor's of some kind to borrow them. The state of Florida, you have to have, in order for it to qualify as part of their annual evaluation, you have to have a certified teacher to administer the test. However, in the state of Florida, you have to keep a portfolio anyway. So I don't know. You just do the portfolio. I'm like, because you have to do it anyway, and it's really, really easy. And I've told parents, I'm like, put your portfolio together, keep it minimum. You know, you decide what you want in it. I, as an evaluator, cannot tell you it's wrong unless it's empty, pretty much. I mean, if you're seeking out an evaluator, you've got your act, you've got stuff together. and then stick your Iowa test scores in the back if you want to. I think standardized testing is more for the parent to see, you know, what level you want to take the kids, to see if they're on track, to see if there's any holes, to see, like the PIAT is really good because it's a one-on-one thing that I administer. And as I'm going through the test, so it's one of those that you sit down and you go until the child can no longer answer the questions. And, you know, obviously, if they're getting all the questions correct and all of a sudden they aren't able to answer the questions and it's pretty consistent, I'm going to answer that in a second. It's pretty consistent. They have no holes. But then I've seen situations where a kid will get 4 wrong and then they'll get 10 right and then they'll get 1 wrong. And so then I can go back as an evaluator and say, look, consistently through the exam, I noticed that your child is struggling with division. So every time there was a division problem, they got it wrong. So there's a hole in their education. You need to go back and kind of find some division problems to go through. So that's one way I try to see if they're progressing. It's the holes in the education, and those standardized tests will kind of tell you where they are. If it's a child, that's why I say the PIAT's really good at discovering, what do you call it? Red flags. I call them red flags. So I'm not qualified to diagnose anything at all, whether, you know, I can't say like a child has like that's not what I'm qualified to do. But because I've been around a lot of it, I can say, you know, I'm seeing that there may be some kind of dyslexia or dysgraphia. I would suggest you seek out a professional and go through them and take their, you know, if you want to seek this out. And I've done that before, and not to toot my own horn, but I've been right. I've even like with gifted kids. So anyway, but that pretty much, like, the PIAT is good for the red flags, and also for finding those holes. And I think Cat 5 in Iowa can be too. The only difficulty there is you don't actually see the test. You get like a written out report and you'll see like what topics they're struggling with, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. But if they're following a curriculum and consistently making high scores, then they're progressing. So I hope that answers that question. And if they're retaining information, I mean, how much do you want them to progress? And also it comes down to, what is your definition as an individual? What is the definition of progression? Are you wanting to follow state requirements? And if so, then you want to look at their things. But really, as a homeschooler, you have the right to decide what progression you want. So, I mean, if it's farming, I'm just throwing that out there. Like, if it's farming, you want them to do it independently. That's your goal. That's progression in education. So kind of keep that in mind, that it's very different from public school because you yourselves are making that decision. You're making the goals for your child. So, okay, I hope that helps. Our slant board is about 30 degrees. Okay, it is a slant board, just enough to elevate arm level. Oh, okay, so it is a slant board. Now that's cool. I need to look up that more. I love IEW. My kids, not so much. That's because you got to get the DVDs. DVDs are amazing. My son thinks Andrew Purowa is amazing. I don't want them to be lost when they get to college or university doing papers. Now, I will say this, though, about IEW. As much as I love IEW, and I do. In fact, look, like, I brought tea because last time I got... I love IEW. They sent this to me, actually, and my kids already chipped it. It's kind of sad, and I'm going to take a sip because my throat's going. I'm talking too much. When you get to the high school level, it's a good idea to kind of switch up the writing a little bit. So they're not just IEW all the way. It's to a point where you want to expand everything out. The IEW lays a really solid foundation, and then at a certain point, you want to now just... It's Suzuki method. If anybody ever studied violin, it's based off of the Suzuki method. Suzuki method is teaching classics to classical, usually violin. They have it for other instruments too. Classics, and that's how you learn, just based off the classics. And then eventually you get that foundation laid, and once the floodgates open up and you are capable of doing so much more than other people because you have that strong foundation. It's just, that's how IEW works. So that's why I say when you get to high school, it's good to expose them to different styles, different curriculum of writing, and more, like, I don't know, like different styles of writing. So for example, what we're going to do is, my son is very solid with his writing. I think when he hits 8th grade, I'm going to put him in a co-op writing class that's not IEW. And he wants to join a novel writing class at our co-op because he has a passion for writing. That's like his love. He loves writing and creating stories, and he's very, I think IEW has made him very confident in that. So that's that question. I feel like I'm rambling. And I think they will do, because IEW really builds on vocabulary. I think that's why I think IEW is such it's full language arts curriculum. And once you do it once, like for 1 year, like it's easy to do it after that. All right. Do you think Apologia Science may be too hard for my girls? Jackie, do you think Apologia Science may be too hard for my girls? I heard it's a lot of prep for the mom. It depends what level you're at. If you're doing elementary, I don't think it's not much prep for elementary. You just sit down and read the book. And then when there's a science experiment, you just gather the supplies. Amazon is great for that if you don't have it. High school is very, very heavy on the reading. So like the general science and the physical science are kind of like the stepping stone to the high school science. The high school science is really, really good if your child is going to be going into a science field, and it's very, very thorough. So I think any science is going to be a lot of prep, unless you get like those science in a box, like, the shipped out to you boxes. I feel like the remakes of the Apologia have more experiments in it, but you don't have to do all the experiments. I think Apologia is very heavy on reading. That's what I feel like right now. I'm teaching out of the high school Apologia. This is the new one. I'm going to do a review, but I wanted to get through the book first. It's the astronomy course. And it's amazing. Like, you don't find astronomy homeschool books like this. It's phenomenal. And it goes in depth. I mean, there's math equations in there. Like, I'm kind of nerdy like that. There's math equations in there, but it's a lot of heavy reading. There's absolutely, I think there's one science experiment in the entire book. So Apologia, heavy on the reading. I don't think prep, you're going to have to do prep whenever you do science if you want to be, I think, in my opinion, if you want to be successful. Okay. That's with it. Okay, I'm reading her comment again. It's just heavy reading. You do have the answers to all the quizzes. So I just don't, yeah, I just think with science, it's going to be a lot of prep with whatever you do, but it's heavy on the reading. Chime in if you have any thoughts on Apologia, but I love Apologia. I really do. It's fun, especially I do like the upper high school stuff, and the early elementary is really good. Okay, I would love a Homeschool 101 just to see how to teach different subjects. We are a SA expats on Mahi Island. SA. I don't know what SA stands for. I don't know what that, but yes, I will do a Homeschool 101. I'm going to do a lot of research for you guys. What is the requirement to graduate from speech? Like with Naomi, speech or I don't know. That maybe she is independent and doesn't need help with talking, or it depends on what your goals are. Yeah, I don't think we'll ever retire from speech as long as I can afford it. When insurance runs out, I'm sure we're going to want to work on a lot of the diction and getting correct diction. I think, I have actually heard adults with Down syndrome, because you usually hear that slur in their voice, And a lot of people attribute it to a larger tongue, which there is a debate on that. A lot of people also say it's the low tone in all the, like the whole everything. And because of that, they have a slurred speech. But I did hear one girl once talk, she had Down syndrome and her speech was like perfect. And I'm like, ooh, can that be my goal for Naomi? So I know that, I guess it's really up to the parents. Okay. All right. Ooh, I'm seeing people comment. What is the requirement? Heart. Hi, Ashley. My son is 12 and is in 6th grade. He is so behind in math and language arts, so I bumped him down a few grades to help him. Would it still be progress if he's still working? Yes, because the progress is at their level. It is not compared, like for homeschooling, it is not compared to the rest. It's at their level. I could listen to you talk. Thank you, Ashley. I'm going to talk your ear off next time you message me. Oh, thank you, Valerie. Okay, I messed that thing up. No, a little screen popped up. So we have the DVDs. They call him Mr. Pugh, which is hilarious to them. They prefer not to write as much, but the foundation is awesome. Thank you for your ideas for high school time. Mr. Pugh, Mr. Pooh. Oh my gosh, my kids met him too, and they were so starstruck. It was so funny. And this year at the homeschool convention, I told my husband, I'm like, we're going this year. And they're like, we have to see Mr. Pooh. Anyway, but this is really funny. When you use Apologia, do you use a notebook? Thinking I've done both. I've used it. I don't think it's necessary. I think you can make your own notebook. It depends what you want. I mean, the notebook has some extra writings in there. I know with the botany, we used the notebook and we did the flower, and they have some cutouts in the back of the book that you can bring out. It's just, it's a lap book, so to speak, but it's just interactive. I think science in and of itself is interactive regardless what you do. So what we did is we did the notebook once. And then after that, I didn't do the notebook anymore just because I felt like they're getting that lap book experience from other subjects like history, because they were from history. So instead, what I did is just did the science experiments and read through it. And actually, I have a video on when we did botany. I didn't use it. I did do, there's some printouts on their website. You get a special code inside the book. Yeah, I started with the Apologia notebooks, but then I dropped them because that's what happens. You realize you don't really need them. But they're good. I'm not saying they're bad. They're good. They're good, you know, if some kids learn that way, actually. Some kids really learn with the notebooks and the writing. But anyway, we did botany. We spent, I feel like we spent a month, or what did we do? It was like long, it was over a year ago. But we jammed it all in, I think 6 weeks, where all we did was botany and did it as a unit study, and we did do some of those writings, and we did a lot of reading together, and we went out and did experiments, like multiple experiments were going on in our household. So I did a video on that. I'll put it in the comments below too. So it does happen, but the notebooks I don't think are mandatory. They're optional, and they're good. They are good. Okay, I'm catching up. 3rd and 4th grade. So Apologia, I feel like they do have an order. A lot of people you can totally pick and choose and use it as a unit study for everybody at the same time. But if you're starting out with Apologia, I think it's history or it's universe. Then you go to botany, and then you go to the land animals. No, not land. You do the flying insects and the bats. And then you go to the water, and then you go to land animals. And then after that, they have the chemistry, body anatomy is more advanced. And then you go to, then you have the physical science, earth science, and the nutrition one, which I think is going to be like your upper elementary, like even 6th grade. I wish they would do it forensics. That would be fun. I'm supposed to teach forensics. I'm kind of excited. I'm teaching forensics at our co-op next year, and I'm going to make it because I'm doing middle school. So we're going to, yeah. Anyway, I saw you have used first language lessons for your kids. Do you feel like it's enough for grammar? So I did say I'd be honest. I think it is really good for kids with delayed development. I think it's good for kids that struggle, that are on the spectrum, or even with Down syndrome. I plan on using learning language arts with the Naomi. If you were to use it for a child without developmental or learning disabilities, I would bump them up a couple grades. Or, you know, like if they're in first grade, I would do second or third grade with that program, or supplement, Fix It Grammar. And I always go back to IEW. And Fix It Grammar is a standalone curriculum, and it's good. So that's what I would have done. I do like diagramming, and Fix It Grammar does not do diagramming. There is another curriculum too if you want to digging into diagramming. I think if you just Googled that, you'd find it. So if you ever wanted to delve into diagramming with them, there's that. You can use that. Because we did Fix It Grammar, and then I'm doing the digging into diagramming, and then I'm going to go back to Fix It Grammar, because I think diagramming is really important, especially if you want to learn a foreign language. Because of the way it's structured, is really, really good. All right, what else do we have? I hope I'm answering your questions. Okay, my girls, no, I lost it. Okay, my girls have been in special education classes and pulled out for science and social studies. Now that I'm homeschooling, I'm noticing they have no foundation for science or social studies. That's a hard one, because I feel like with science and social studies, it's hard to have I almost feel like the foundation for science and social studies is going to be your reading and your language arts and your math. Because with science, you could just do botany and they're progressing and focus on botany. You could do a general science where they're learning, you know, the general basis of science. You could focus on human body. You could focus on different things. But in order to get to higher level science, you have to have a good understanding of critical thinking and math if you're going to do physics. And then with history, you have to good foundation of vocabulary, comprehension, and reading. Comprehension across the board, and that's based in language arts. So I feel like foundation for science and history needs to be in that math and reading and language arts. So there's a test in the PIAT. The first test is general knowledge. And I always say that's like the tester, because when I give the PIAT, it's the icebreaker to get to know the student. And I don't take much stock in that general information. There are kids that have taken the PIAT and are like geniuses, not maybe geniuses, but they're really, really smart. And they do really bad on the general information because their parents haven't taught them things that apparently the PIAT thinks every kid should know. For example, no, I can't give you questions off the PIAT. Never mind. I almost did it. I can't do that. But just saying that statement in general. Yeah, that's my thoughts on that. I hope that kind of helped. For Fix It Grammar, would it be too difficult for second and third grade? It depends on the child. I did Fix It Grammar with my third grader, and he did really well, actually. He was in third grade. So, and we use the nose tree. That's the first one. All right, going up. I know you might be commenting to like a reply, so I want to make sure I get those. I think too, with science and history, the key is just hands-on and reading, and unit studies. I think that is my opinion. but I think there's something to be said when it comes to the way a child learns in early elementary, that they think in blocks. So doing the unit study, say we're going to learn all about lions, and that block, they retain the information more. So if you just, that's why I like Charlotte Mason so much and unit studies so much, is that the chunking and then the retention of memories, because you're more likely to remember when you studied botany and you planted a garden and you dissected a flower, it all like files together. You remember that. But you're less likely to remember one day you did a dissection of a flower, but then the next day you did a worksheet on animals, and then the next day you looked at a parasite. I hope you're not looking at parasites under the microscope unless it's dead. But you see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's something that I actually got in a discussion with a very seasoned homeschool mom on that discussion. So that's something to also think about. That's a thing you can just stuff in your head and think about it through the night. That's what I do. When something like intrigues me and I don't know much about it, I think about it and I analyze it for a period of time. Okay, I read that one. My daughter has the same slur as a child with DS, Down syndrome, and they feel it's low tone of the mouth. They have a low tone muscles all over, even heart. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's why she's in so many different therapies. And that's why, yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. And that's why when she's asleep and I have to carry her up the stairs, it's like dead weight, but it's dead weight all the time, actually, now that I think about it. Okay. Got any good tips for homeschooling? Homeschool restart for my 7-year-old. Her protest to school? He protests school and complains about doing anything. First deschool, so find out what deschooling is. And then I would introduce reading books to them, and casually, while you're deschooling, having conversations with them and try to pique their interest and in things. For 7-year-old, that's going to be first grade, right? First grade or second grade. I would focus on the reading, but maybe take them to the library and have them find books that they like. You might have to really push through the reading though. But deschool first. Find out what deschooling is. I would do that. To restart, if they're struggling, you want to deschool first and then start researching different curriculums, because they might be a book person, they might be a hands-on person, they might be an outdoors person, they might be a worksheet person, they might be an audio book person, and just find out what they are drawn to. Like, you have to do a lot of watching the child and thinking about their personality, but also your personality. Usually, I mean, you do find kids that are different from your parents, but usually the way that you learn is the best way that you teach, if that makes sense. There's always exceptions to the rule, but it's a lot of watching and waiting and thinking and praying and all that stuff when you deschool and when you kind of kickstart things back up. And I think even like with people that are worried about what the state is going to do if they take too long to kind of kickstart things, it's like I said, it's not because you set the goals for your kids. It's totally different. We're not comparing you to what other kids are doing, because you're an individual, you're unique, and I mean, nobody compares to you. There are going to be things that your child will never be able to do, and that's completely okay. It is, I mean, well-rounded education is good to be introduced to everything, but there are going to be things that they're not going to be good at. They might be horrible at math. Well, they're not going to be a mathematician when they grow up. Maybe they're going to be an artist or somebody who writes books, you know, like every kid is different. With every kid has different sets of goals. So really just try to get to know your child and what they like, and kind of then start building, you know, based off of that. All right, Jackie, thank you. Thank you too. I'll keep going until I finish the questions. And you can always chime back in. And I think I did actually answer all the questions. I've been on here for over an hour. Look at me go. I will not be putting out a video tomorrow. I'm going to try to do a live. I'm going to answer that too. Dysgraphia. Yes. Okay. Dysgraphia. I had a student that I tutored specifically with dysgraphia, and I worked with him for years. So this one, I feel like I may be able to help a little bit. But then again, this is one student compared to, and he's gotten so much better. Anyway, okay, I'm going to come back to this, but I did want to say that I'm not doing a video tomorrow because I'm just going to kind of push this one out, but I'll do a video on Thursday. Any questions, put in the comments. Feel free to share. I'm going to work on that beginning homeschool 101. I'm doing for Thursday my video. It's almost done editing. I'm part of a budget. It's not it's a grocery challenge, but the grocery challenge is really based on the diet for Naomi because we have some medical stuff going on and I'm having to change her diet. And so I'm doing that. Okay. So I'm doing that. It's a Naomi raising a child with special needs and kind of video. I'm going to get that one too. Okay, so going back into dysgraphia. With him, it was a lot of speaking it to me and having me dictate what he was saying and then walking him through it. What he just said and showing it to him on the paper. See, it wasn't really a curriculum. I'm trying to think because I worked with his mom. I feel like I need to ask her because she just used, she did Apologia. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask her what curriculum she used. Most of the stuff I did with him was just tell me. And then I'm going to write it down. You read it to me and I'll point you through. And even like saying, well, or having him write the thought down in his own writing. Oh, that's one thing she said to me is computer. For some reason, if he could type something out, that helped kind of fix it. So see if working on the computer is good. That's one thing you can try. But like I said, she did a lot of oral with him. Now, I know my kids are still awake. I hope you don't hear them. It's like 10 o'clock at night. The girl, Naomi's asleep, and Isaac's asleep. The two on the outside, the two middle ones are awake. I hear them. They're literally right there. So I'm going to check on them in a second. So I'm going to have to go soon. But the computer, and then I'm going to check with her. I'll try to write that in the comments. All right. So... if my oldest wants to be a vet assistant, so I'm looking into animal camps and really good documentaries to keep her interest. Also see if she can, when she's in high school, see if she can work at a vet office or even just assist. If there's any zoos around you, yeah, that's really good. All of that is really good. Thank you. We are struggling with dysgraphia too. I'm going to ask her what she used. We do a lot of oral answer and doing penmanship separately from subjects. Yeah, that way he doesn't get frustrated with the core subjects. Yep, that's a good one too. And having a lot of patience and encouragement. And that, I just finished all the comments. So this is good. I can go tend to the two of them that decided to wake up. I think they've been awake, but they got quiet. So I think they figured it out on their own. Yay, independence. But they should be in bed. Mommy's on YouTube. We can get up and play. No. So I'm just going to check on them, see how they're doing. But I hope this was helpful. Let me know any questions. Let me just double check to make sure I got all of them. Great idea. Yeah. Thank you. My oldest wants to be a vet. I hope I got all of them. I'm going to ask about writing curriculum. What did he do? I think she started him on IEW. I really do. but I think they did a lot of oral dictation. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think she did. I'm going to ask her. I'll probably text her and I'll get an answer for you guys tonight. No, she's up late. I'm actually really good friends with her, so. Yep, I think I got them all. All right, well, thank you guys. This was fun. I'll do this probably again another 6 weeks. Let me know if you want to know anything specific. And also, I think some of you wanted to know, I think I'm going to do a video. Yes, I think you're welcome. I think some of you wanted me to do a video on evaluating specifically in the state of Florida. So let me know if you want. I'll probably do a poll or something to see if that's something that you guys want, because I know there's a lot of questions about that, and I kind of answered some here because people get really nervous. So thank you guys again. I'm gonna head out and say adios, sayonara, shalom. Thank you guys, and I will see you guys around. Bye.